Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, where we will be talking about Gen Z and whether they are workforce ready. And we will be talking about Everfi and how that is a great tool to teach SEL, employability skills, career exploration, and lots of other things. And we will get to that topic in just a few minutes. But first, I'm going to cover some housekeeping items. My name is Mary Carnahan, and I am the eLearning Resource Specialist with the Department of Education, and I will be your host and producer for the webinar today. When you joined the meeting today, your line should have been muted. Please keep that line muted throughout the call so that we can minimize background noise and distractions throughout the call today. You should see the chat box on the right side of your screen. I see that some people are already introducing themselves, which is really great. Thank you for doing that. Please use that chat box throughout the call today to share questions for our presenters and for each other even, and also to share ideas that you may have, either things that you've done in your classroom or your school, or ideas that you have for things to do in the future. When I change the presentation over to Kaley from Everfi in just a few minutes, you may need to change that chat drop-down, that to drop-down to everyone. It may change to just send messages to Kaley when we change her to the presenter. So just make a note of that when we change over. I do award PGP points for participating in live webinars. I will send those by the end of this week to those who signed into the meeting today to the email address with which you signed in. So watch for that email later in the week. I also am recording this webinar, and as long as the technology is all cooperative, I will have that webinar posted, or this webinar posted, next week, sometime hopefully early next week, to our YouTube channel, and I will post a link to that YouTube channel in the chat in just a few minutes. And also there are many other archived webinars there that are great professional development, so be sure to check those out when you view that YouTube channel. So February is Indiana Digital Learning Month. We piggyback with National Digital Learning Day, which I believe is February 27th. And several years ago, we decided that one day wasn't enough and that we wanted to celebrate the whole month long. So we have a variety of different events. I just have a brief little bit about that on the slide here. But we have a website that has links to all of the opportunities. We have 2 webinars. Jennifer from our team is going to be hosting the IN Ed Chat the first Wednesday of the month, talking about Digital Learning Day and Digital Learning Month. We're going to start our next book club. So I will also share a live link to this page in the chat in just a few minutes so you can view the opportunities that are there. I think that is all for my introduction. I'm going to pass the presentation off to Kaley Esselborn from Everfi, and she has a lot to share with you today, and also she's got some Indiana educators who are using Everfi in their classrooms, who will be talking about the great things that they're doing in integrating that into their classrooms to work with their students. So there we go. And also, if you have your video running, you are welcome to turn that off, but you can also leave it on if you would like, your webcam, I mean. All right, Kaley, it is your turn.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. You can see my screen. You can see my screen, right?
Yes. Yep, you're set.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Like she said, my name is Kaley Esselborn, and I am a senior schools manager here in Indiana. I work with about 2/3 of the state, and I'm excited to see a lot of familiar names in the chat and in the participants list. I'm glad that you're here, and if I don't know you already, really looking forward to connecting with you today. So to give you a really quick background, if you're not familiar already, Everfi is an educational technology company. We create digital resources for learners all the way from kindergarten all the way to adult age. I work particularly with K-12, and that's what we're going to talk about today, obviously, because that's the demographic that we're talking about. An important thing for you to know is that all of the resources that I'm going to share with you today are free for you, thanks to local sponsors. Our model is set up so that our sponsors pay for everything up front, so that when it comes to you, the teacher, the administrator, everything is already covered. And that includes not just the digital resources, but also implementation support, which is what I do. We also have another schools manager named Katie Turk, who lives in Chicago, and she works with the northern part of Indiana. We're here to do professional development individually by person, or we can do school-wide, district-wide implementation support. So if there's ever, as we go through this, if you think, man, our entire ninth grade team should use this in homeroom, you just let us know and we'll be happy to come train everybody all at once. If you have a district colleague that you think should know about it, if they're sharing with other teachers, that's what we're here to do. But we're also happy to connect with you one-on-one if you have specific questions. Our sponsors also sometimes like to engage with schools beyond just paying for the programs. So sometimes our sponsors will host events or other activities that go along with the resources. And if that's the case for a course that you're interested in using, we will definitely reach out to you and let you know. It usually varies by sponsor and also by location. Our instructional resources cover a variety of topics. As you can see, we have stuff right now that's available all the way down to first grade up to 12th grade, though we have a new course coming out at the end of this month called Word Force, which is an early literacy game designed for kindergarten through second grade. So that will be added at the end of this month. If you teach elementary, that's one to keep your eye out for. We focus primarily, you'll see we don't have, other than that one I just mentioned actually, we don't have a lot of core content as far as like math and reading. We tend to focus generally on real world skills, or critical skills as we sometimes call them, the skills that students need to be successful, not just in a classroom, but in life. So financial education, career exploration and career readiness, social emotional learning, health and wellness, as well as some civic responsibility and community involvement. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to show you all of these courses today, but I would love to hear really quick in the chat, if you don't mind telling me, I know that you all introduced yourself already, but really quick, tell me if you are elementary, middle, or high, so I can get a feel for what we've got. Looks like we've got quite a few secondary teachers in here, or administrators. Central office, excellent. Okay, cool. So the one I'm going to show you is one of our newest courses. It just came out this fall. Well, it's actually our flagship course, the high school financial literacy course. That was the very first course we ever created about 10 years ago. 12 years ago, actually. We just celebrated our birthday on Friday. But as you can imagine, financial literacy 12 years ago is very different than it is now. And so they have reworked this course a few times, the newest version just being released this last August. So I wanted to give you a feel for this brand new course if you haven't seen it yet. And then this hopefully will give you just a basic idea of what a course looks like for students. The resource, like I mentioned, is online. So the students are going to log in and have this experience individually for the most part. There are a couple of exceptions. One to keep in mind if you're an elementary teacher is the Compassion Project is more of an offline group setting. And then Summer Slugger is also online, but it's not as structured in terms of like a lesson with quizzes. It's more of review games. But the other ones all function the same way. So I'll give you an idea what that looks like. This is the home screen of the high school financial literacy course. When the students log in, they'll see these 7 lessons along the bottom, and it's unlocked, so they're able to access any of the 7 that they want to. I'm I'm going to show you the budgeting module today just because I am passionate about budgeting. I'm a super nerd at heart and I'm obsessed with my budget, literally. My husband would tell you that it's like the high that I get every month is making a budget and then updating it as I go. So I'm going to show you the budgeting module, but this is just, again, to give you a feel for what they may look like. If you want to see the other courses, I will show you really quickly. This website you can go to. I'll chat it here in the box. This has all of the courses that we have available. You'll see WordForce is there at the very top because that's the newest one. That's the one that's coming out the rest of this month that I mentioned. So you're welcome to scroll through here as we're talking if you want to see all the courses you see. You can also filter by topic or by grade level if you want. And then you'll see in the top right-hand corner, there is a red Sign Up Now button. So if you want to be able to access these on your own, just click that red button and then you'll see it'll take you, it's not going to take you there because I'm signed into myself already, but it'll let you create your account. So if you want to be doing that while we're talking, feel free to do that as well if you're the kind of person that likes to multitask. I won't know, first of all, and then I won't have my feelings hurt even if I didn't know. But I just wanted you to know where you can access these on your own if you want to have them open while I'm sharing with you. So going back to the course, I'll show you the high school financial literacy course. This is the budgeting module. So the students come in, they click on the budgeting module, and then they can work through on their own. It starts with a quiz similar to like a BuzzFeed quiz. This is just to help them see what their budgeting philosophy is. So what kind of budgeter are you? They answer the questions as they go through, and then it will give them a personality. In this case, it's oh my gosh, it'll all work out. Personality where they kind of like to fly by the seat of their pants, I guess. One of the things I think this is great for is just showing that no matter what your personality is, you don't have to be a super nerd like me with various spreadsheets to be a budgeter. Anyone can budget, and it's important that you do no matter what your personality is because it can help you be successful with your money. And so understanding your personality when it comes to money is helpful as you decide how to plan and approach your budget. After that, they'll make a priority list for their own reasons for budgeting, why it's important for them. Because if you don't understand your why, it's really hard to stick to your how. And then it goes into some simulations. So in this case, they're going to actually create a budget piece by piece. They'll start with their income. So it gives them 2 paychecks. They have to add them together to see what their monthly income is. And then they're going to go through budgeting first for their needs. And then it goes to things like recurring expenses that maybe not be needs, but they are things you've already committed to pay for. So they need to take priority over other things such as your cell phone or maybe a gym membership or something like that that's going to come out automatically. And then they'll go to wants last. So with whatever money you have left over, then you'll decide how to budget for your wants. So it helps kids learn about the difference between needs versus wants, as well as how to prioritize in a budget. And then it talks about different tools. And this is where you can pull in your different personality. You can see what's going to work best for me. If you're the kind of person that likes to just go with the flow and not have to worry about every individual thing, an envelope method might be helpful because you just plan it out at once and then separate it and you've got the money and you just spend what you have, and when you don't, you stop spending. Or maybe you use multiple of these. I actually use 3 out of the 4 of these. So that'll teach them about some different types of budgeting. And then they go into some simulations. So at the end of the month, you review what you did, except you spent some extra on shoes. So where do you need to balance that in order to make up for it? So where can you make some adjustments in your budget to make sure that that doesn't happen in the future? Or maybe it's just that you need to make sure that you don't do that. So you plan for it in advance. One of the things I like about this is that it shows that budgeting is a monthly activity, that it's not something you just create and then let it go for the rest of the year, but that you can change it and adjust it each month. There's a few different budgeting tips that they can use, ways to fine-tune their budget once they've made it, and then it goes into some scenarios like you've created a budget, and then you drop your phone and you need a new phone. So now what do? So they have to go back to their budget and decide which of these 3 options they're going to take. Whether ask a family member for money, skip their wants for a month, or use their savings. And if they choose one that doesn't work for them, for example, if they choose to use their savings, but they didn't put any savings in their savings during their budget, then it'll say, well, you can't do that, so go back and choose something else. And then based on how much money they're able to come up with, they can choose the phone to replace their old phone with. At the end of the lesson, in this course, at the end of every module, they'll have a different game activity that they can play. In this case, every week they get paid, and then throughout the week, various expenses come up and they have to choose if they're going to spend the money on that or not. And you'll see along the top, it encourages them to balance both their savings as well as their emotional needs and their relationships. Obviously, we want to save money, but you don't want to be a hermit where you have no friends. So sometimes you do have to spend money to build relationships. You're not going to have many friends if you never go out of your house. So it helps them find the balance between those three things so they can accomplish all of them. At the end of the lesson is an assessment, a 10-question quiz. And as the teacher, you'll then have access to these quiz scores within your teacher dashboard, which I will show you a little bit later. So that's an example of one of the courses that we offer. In addition to the online resources, like the courses that I just showed you, you'll have access to students' scores. Like I mentioned, you'll be able to see their growth as they go through the lessons. And then you'll also have access to offline lesson plans and discussion questions. If you are looking at your resources with it, so this is the teacher dashboard, which I'll go into more in a second, but I wanted to show you that every course has a resources section, which will walk you through a variety of materials you can use in conjunction with the off or online material. So in this case, there's a bunch of different resources. This one is about digital wellness and safety, but you'll see there's a lesson plan that goes along with each of the online lessons. So you can do the online portion individually and then come back together and do a lesson plan together in person if that's preferable for you. You'll also have access to all of our resources as soon as they come out. So those of you who already have accounts will be able to add WordForce as soon as it comes out at the end of the month if you want to. And then we also offer scholarship opportunities. There's one for all students who use Everfi, which is $1,000, and they hand that out once a semester. There's 5 winners each semester. Excuse me. And then some sponsors also offer additional scholarships. In Indiana, specifically, Fifth Third Bank sponsors some of the finance courses for some of the high schools in the state, and those high schools that are sponsored by Fifth Third Bank have an additional $2,500 scholarship available to students that do that course. So as those opportunities become available, I will let you know about them as well. A couple of other things that are helpful, all of our courses are aligned to state standards, although if you go into your dashboard and look for that, you'll find it here in this resources section if you want, or you can also go to the support section and see all the standards alignment. One thing to note is that that does usually align them to national standards. Like, for example, the financial literacy is aligned to Jumpstart standards. Social emotional learning is often aligned to CASEL standards. So those, if those are helpful for you, wonderful. But if you are looking for Indiana specific alignment, I do have some of those. So this is the national alignment that you can find on the website. Sometimes they get aligned to pretty broad process standards as well. But let's say, for example, you're trying to use it in your high school financial literacy class or personal finance class, just let me know and I can share with you what I've got, which is probably more state specific. We also offer professional learning webinars. Aside from this one, Everfi puts one on about every month, and they are online, free for you. They take about an hour, and you can get professional growth points for those as well. The next one we have coming up is on February 4th, and it will be focused on STEM. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested. We also offer a certified teacher program where teachers can participate in a cohort that lasts about a semester, where you can implement various Everfi activities, do some reflections on it. You can interact with other cohort members on the discussion board, get third-party feedback. So it's facilitated by Bloomboard. And so it's a great way to kind of dive into it as well as to grow your professional expertise. There is a cost for it. I think it's about $50 for a semester, but you get 6 to 8 hours of professional growth points. So it's a pretty good deal when it comes to money. Questions so far about the courses that I can answer for you before we move into some best practices? Feel free to chat them in if you've got questions or any other comments. All right. Well, the next section, lucky for you, we have a few teachers on the line with us today who are excited to share with you how they use Everfi with their students. So I will turn it over to them. Our first up is Jessica from South Junior High. Go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. So my name is Jessica Briones. I am the school counselor here at Southmont Junior High. Last year, we brought over 6th grade students. We used to be 7th and 8th grade. And so when we brought in our 6th graders, we were really able to create a custom schedule. And so we built in a period during their day that we titled Genius Hour. So then we needed content to fill that time. So we wanted to hit things that were outside of the core curriculum, things like financial literacy, any kind of character education. So thankfully, I had gone to a conference where Everfi had presented, and so it was a really easy program to implement with our 6th graders, and it's very user friendly both for the teachers and the student. And so we have used most of the programs: Ignition, Future Smart, Vault, Endeavor, and the kids really like it. And Casey, quote me if I'm, or Kaley, quote me if I'm wrong. It's not quite that the programs are gamified, but they look very gamified. So they're very user friendly to the students. And they really enjoyed using a lot of those, especially the ones that had budgeting, because we actually did a whole career week. And so we pushed budgeting a lot with our kids. We did a reality store. And so with Everfi and with that reality store, kids really got a sense of how expensive things can be in real life. So then this year, both last year and this year, we started with our Exploring College and Careers course. So we brought in some of the programs that touch on careers. Some of them touch on STEM careers. So I can't speak highly enough about Everfi in how easy it is to use, how hands-off sometimes the teachers need to be. The program really can run itself. So we have students say, hey, it's time to go on Everfi, get on Ignition, or get on Future Smart, get on Future Smart, and then they're really able to do that work on their own for 15 or 20 minutes, which gives the teacher a nice break every now and then as well. And then also I will say that, anytime I've ever had any questions or if I need any help, they're always readily available and able to help when I need. So it's a great program.
Thanks, Jessica. And if you have questions for any of these individual teachers or educators, feel free to chat them in. One thing I'll mention that she brought up, I think, is a great point. So if you're looking for resources that can be used across a grade level, they're really nice for that because they are like pre-prepped, ready to go. Like she said, that doesn't take a lot from the teacher. And so a lot of times I know in like a homeroom setting or something, if you're trying to implement a type of curriculum that not all the teachers are familiar with, like not every teacher is going to be a professional social emotional learning educator because that may not be their content area, then it makes it easy to do that because they don't have to be super familiar with the content in order to use it. They can kind of learn with the kids as they go. And it makes it really low lift for teachers if you're trying to do something like that. And then, as she mentioned, it does offer kind of like a hands-off thing, which makes it really easy for teachers to do. Like if they're doing like stations or centers or something, they can work with individual students or conference with small groups of students while the other kids are working online. So it just offers some flexibility in the classroom. Thanks, Jessica. All right, next up is Deonda Williams from Walker Career Center.
Hello, this is Deonda Williams, and it's good to see everybody. I use several of the modules, and I teach 2 different types of classes. So the first class that I teach is business law. I am doing that prescription drug safety, and thank you, Kaley, for sending me the information for the field trip opportunity to the State House. My kids were so excited to hear that. I like that module because not only is it like the self-guided, but the discussion questions that come with it, and so do the lessons that come with the personal financial literacy. I like the discussion questions because it allows the kids to ask open-ended questions if they don't understand what is being asked, or sometimes it prompts them to say something that helps them or has helped them in their life. And the venture, I use the venture for my entrepreneurship classes. They like the food truck, so it's interactive. They enjoy getting into that. I've used the Keys to Your Future when I had to teach personal finance and preparing for college and careers. So I've used Ignition, the marketplace. I've used several of these, and I do enjoy reinforcing my content with this. The kids kind of feel like it's a break, but they're still learning. And so I enjoy all of these, and I will continue to use them. I'm so glad it's a resource, and Kaley is great. She responds to her emails promptly, and even if you ask her the same question over and over, she is happy to answer it. So I can't say anything more about it. It's saved, me several times with, if you don't want to do lesson plans or if you have to be absent really quickly, you can put that assignment on Canvas or Google Classroom. Our district right now is using both. We get to choose. Well, Canvas has to be used if we do e-learning, but I like Google better. But I can put a link there, go and do this, and then I know that the kids can do it because we've done it before, and it's so self-guided.
Awesome. Thanks, Deonda. Good point, too. They're really handy for sub-plans because you don't have to be in the room if the students are already familiar with signing in. They can do it.
Yes, once they get to the point where I always tell them to keep track of their information, sign in with our same sign in for the school, and you still have some kids that forget it or mess it up. But I like that we can go in and reset their password for them as well. But you're right, you can do that, and your reliable kids will get on. Sometimes the other kids will intentionally lock themselves out so the sub can't or pretend like they can't get back on, but for the most part, it works for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next up, Megan Wright from Helfrich Park.
Hi, all. And just wanted to piggyback off the last two. Kaley is amazing, and anything you need, she's there in an instant to help. And it's so nice to have that tech help at your fingertips. I can email her, and within 5 minutes, it's just like, oh, there's my answer, or she's helped me get wherever. So I feel like I have a little bit different perspective coming in, which is kind of fun. So I teach 6th grade science, and there are many courses that I enjoy. I picked out some of my favorites. The Venture Goals, it's a hockey one, and it's produced in part with the NHL, and like it's very realistic. The kids will, it's a big compliment. They'll say, oh, do we get to get on Everfi today? Do we get to get on our hockey today? They are begging me to get back on the program. It's not me fighting them to get on there. So a huge compliment to Everfi for putting that out. It's very engaging, and it's self-paced and interactive to the kids. They have no issue getting on there and getting to work. The one that I spend the most class time on is the venture one. So engineering is part of my 6th grade standards in science, and it's really our first introduction into engineering. But I tie that in with junior achievement. They partner with my class as well, and we have a big entrepreneurial project that we take on. We partner with a local business, and we work on it for about 5 months. So I use venture to pre-teach the vocabulary and the skills that they're going to need for the success of the project. Junior achievement comes in and reteaches and emphasizes those skills and put it into real life. And then with our community partner, they actually put those skills into practice. It's a really neat take on it. So venture is one I spend a lot of time with. The computer science standards are relatively new, if you will. Down here in Evansville, we just kind of closed our eyes and pretended like they weren't going to happen. Not sure if anyone else is in that same boat as us. But now that it's real and they are all of a sudden being tested, we've tried to figure out a way to integrate those. So the Ignition, the new program, they have a newer version. I think it came out last year. That one has been very beneficial in my classroom because I have next to zero digital citizenship resources, and that social emotional learning piece is tied in there nicely as well. So that one we've used. As far as the sub days, it's so helpful, and it's not just a hey cool, here's an easy babysitter, which secretly it's part of that, but it's more my kids aren't losing ground learning. The sub is not trying to figure out the technology in the room, which is usually far over their heads. I appreciate our subs, but they can't be us. And if they could be us, we're probably not doing a great job, right? So the Everfi is a great way to keep my classroom moving and going, and I don't feel like it's a day wasted.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
I love the point about venture with blending it in with other things you have going on. I think when I reach out to teachers, one of the most common things I hear is that, well, we use this or we do this in our classroom. And Everfi really is very supplemental. So it's a great resource, but it's not going to replace your curriculum, and it's not going to take the place of other things. Sometimes it might, but it really can be used in conjunction with a lot of other programs. And so even if you already have something that you use to meet whatever goals the course might address, these are great resources that you can blend in, and it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. None of our resources are going to take more than a few hours total for students to do. And even within that, they're broken down into smaller lessons, most of which can be done in 30 minutes or less. So it's definitely something you can work into what you already have going on. And so make it work for what you're doing. You don't have to use it exactly as it's laid out. You can kind of pick and choose things that work for you and create a cohesive unit. Next up is Paul Green from Northridge.
Hi, I'm Paul. I teach at Northridge Middle School. We're in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and I started using Everfi about 3 years ago. I was switching from math to business tech or digital learning, what we call it now, and I needed resources. And Kaley or somebody sent me an email. Kaley contacted as soon as I signed up. Got me going with any questions I had. She was quick to answer. And so I just started trying some different of the programs. And we have, as well as some of these other teachers have said, their kids look forward to doing these programs. In sixth grade, I did a mission where they focus on digital citizenship. And in that, along with the other programs, they tie very well with what's current in their lives. So they get to know more from what they're learning based on what's going on. But I really do like that. And there's, with all, there are lessons that you can do that are offline. And we've, in my sixth grade class, doing an anti-phishing poster, and you can make the work for you, however you want it. I supplement these with other things in my classes. Venture is with a eighth grade class, and the kids really enjoy that because along with the food truck business, that's a simulation, and getting to learn about starting up their own business. I have added to the program, and that's doing a episode. They have to come up with a business plan and a business, and then I get counselor, administrators, other teachers to come in as the sharp. They get to basically how well their business pitch went. And then Future Smart, I'm doing with our eighth grade personal finance. We also have a during the day is I don't know if it's my phone this. Sorry, I'm just not seeing it. But Future Smart is in our eighth grade personal finance, and we do this with all eighth graders. They have a 6-week rotation, and they go through the budgeting and spending money and a lot of good things, and they get to talk real world applications.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Sorry if those of you who are having trouble with audio, hopefully you were able to catch most of what Paul was sharing. One of the things that Paul does that I think is really great is really taking advantage of those offline resources and making them applicable for your students so that it's more of a blended learning experience versus just having the kids log in and work on the lessons. So on that note, we have one more teacher who is not able to join us, which is Mrs. Julie Brock. She works at Eminence High School in Martinsville and is a business and computer teacher. She shared a little bit about what she does. She teaches a variety of business classes, both middle and high school. And she says that she uses Everfi to fill the gaps in her state standards. So, for example, she has to cover standards in digital apps and digital citizenship for junior high students that she doesn't have a lot of resources for, so she uses Ignition for that. And then sometimes, like other people have mentioned, she uses it as a break for her and the students after a different kind of project. So not that your whole class has to be students log in, they don't talk, and it's super quiet and individual, but that it's a nice way to kind of mix things up in class. So if you've been doing a group project that's noisy and chaotic with people going all over the place, sometimes this is a nice reset where students can just log in and work on their own and kind of refocus on an individual task. So that is one of the benefits for her when it comes to Everfi, is just being able to mix up the different kinds of class time that she has. And she mentions there at the bottom that she likes that it's easy to use and that students can retake tests and work at their own pace. And that it changes every year, which is true. We are always looking to add more resources as well as improve the ones that we have. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. Once you've created an Everfi account, don't take that as the end. There's always going to be new stuff that you can try out for us. To her point, students can retake tests. I'm going to show you that here in a minute, what it looks like on the student or on the teacher side. But any other questions for me or for the teachers who have shared yet that you would like to ask them, chat them in. If you have questions about things that, how it worked in their class, if they ran into any obstacles that you want to know how they worked out, or if you're thinking about using it in a similar way and want to pick their brain about something, now is your time while they're here on the line with us. I'll give you just a minute to do that. If there's anybody who has questions for our teacher experts, they are experts. All of them have used Everfi at least for 2 years, so they have earned their expert status. Okay. Well, if you have questions that come up later, feel free to chat them in. And if they're here on the line with us, I'm sure they will answer them for you. So now, moving from the courses and what they look like, I want to show you what the experience is like for you as a teacher. So if you have that other website open that I showed you initially, feel free to open it again. I'll show you, or I'll chat that in here. That's not the right one. Here it is. So this is the link to this page, which has all of the courses here. And the easiest way to get to the login is by clicking on this Sign Up Now screen. So we'll do this together. In case you have yours open, I'll walk you through how to get signed in. It's going to tell me that I'm already signed in, but I will sign out and create a fake account for you so you can follow along if you want to. So you would go to register, and then for your information, this is where the students come as well, but they're going to have a code that you will give them. They'll put that in here. For you, though, you want to choose K-12 teacher, and then your state, and then your school. I'm going to do my demo school since I'm not a real teacher. If you can't find your school, you can click here, but I recommend before you click there that you try a couple of spellings. Like, for example, if you're at a school that's called St. Matthew's, try spelling out Saint as well as doing the ST. Because if you don't spell it just like it's in our system, it won't pull it up. So try a different one, or just try typing in the first word and see what kind of options it gives you. Once you've done that, it's going to ask you to create your account with your email address, and you choose a password. And then you're going to choose a course to start with. Just for ease, I'll choose the Future Goals one here for me, and then agree to the terms of service. And then you'll click Next, and it's going to let you into your teacher dashboard. If you added Future Goals like I did, it's going to show you that I added both the math and the science because they come as a package. So either one, it's going to add them both. So now that you're here on your dashboard, to explore the course that you've chosen, Well, before we do that, if you want to add other courses, so if you saw that there were 3 or 4 that you were interested in, you can click here on this blue Add Course button on the left-hand side, and it's going to take you into our curriculum library, and you'll be able to see all of the courses that we have available. There's a couple of categories here, featured, popular, etc. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, though, it's going to show you all of the courses that we have. You can scroll to the right or the left to find any others that you're interested in. So let's say I'm a science teacher, so I add the science, and I'm also going to add Endeavor, which is a STEM career exploration course, because I want to show my kids how they can use the things that we're doing in class in a real world career. And then I think I'll also add, what else looks good to me? I'm going to add venture, because I liked the idea of showing entrepreneurship as a way to use those skills as well. So now that I've added those courses to my dashboard, they'll show up here. There's a box for each one. And so they're ready for me to explore. There are 2 ways to explore the course. The first one is by clicking the View Course button, which is going to take you in and show you what that course looks like for students, so you can kind of play around with it and get a feel for what it looks like. I will tell you that the demo sometimes is not the best, so if the demo doesn't work, don't freak out. It'll probably still work for your students. Sometimes the demo just is not the best. Let's see if this one will work instead. There it goes. Okay, so it'll pull it up. Or maybe it won't. Maybe my computer's messed up. Oh, there it goes. Just took a minute. So it pulls up the student dashboard, and so you can click around and play with it. This one has 6 lessons. Each one is a different activity that students work through. I'm not going to click into it because it's going to start talking to us, but this will let you play around with your the course that you want to see. Unlikely, though, that any of you have time to sit around for like 5 hours and play, like do the entire courses, all of them yourself. So that is a great tool to kind of get a feel for what it looks like. Just so you know, a demo is not going to save your progress. So if you're working through and then you come back later and it makes you start over, that's because it didn't save it. It does save student progress. So as they work through, when they come back to it, it will help have them start in the same place where they left off. The other place to look at the resources is look at the courses, the resources section, like I mentioned before. This curriculum guide is going to be your best planning friend, because it's going to walk you through lesson by lesson what's covered in the course. It'll have some standards alignment information there for you. Each course has one of these in the resources section. So when you're really trying to get a feel for what the course actually covers, this is where I recommend you come to that curriculum guide, because it's going to walk you through the course as a whole, so you have an idea of which lessons you want to use and how. You can also explore the offline resources that are available. This is the Endeavor, the STEM career exploration one I told you about. So this is an activity that can go along with one of the online lessons. So you can explore all of those. There's lesson plans, activities. This one has a 3D printing lesson. So there's actually a file here you can print if you have a 3D printer at your school. So every course has different kinds of resources available. The Future Goals Hockey Scholar has some lab packets and different things that go along with it too, because since it's STEM based. So I recommend that you try out the View course for, 20 minutes or however long you have, just to get a feel for what the student experience is like. But then really spend the bulk of your time in the offline section, and particularly in the curriculum guide, so you can see lesson by lesson what's covered, and that will help you decide when and how you want to use the lessons. Once you've decided what you're going to do and when, you want to create a class. You can click the green Create Class button here, or you can also go to the Classes tab and click Create Class from there. If you do it from here, you'll notice that there aren't any courses at the bottom, so you'll need to add them. If you do it from the Courses tab, if you click Create Class in the Venture box, it will have added Venture at the bottom. Either way is fine. So you're going to name whatever you want. I'm going to say Venture Webinar Class. If you have multiple sections of students, I recommend that you create a different section for each group so that you have them sorted in your dashboard, kind of like in your grade book. You choose when you'll think you'll start, how many kids are in the class, and the grade level. If you have more than one grade level in a class, you can choose more than one. And then I want these kids to use Venture, but I also want these kids to use these other courses. So I'm going to add them to the class as well. So now all my students will have access to all 4 of these courses. I'm going to add them to the class. They'll show up here now at the bottom, and I'm ready to create my class. This is going to pop up and show me my registration code. I don't have to copy it yet unless I'm ready to use it, because here in the classes tab, I can always come back to see my class, and the registration code lives right here on that classes tab. So once you're ready to use it with students, they go to the website just like you did, and like I showed you, it'll ask them for a code, and they put this registration code in. And then they'll choose a username and a password, and they will show up under your students tab. I don't have any students here yet. Let me log out and show you my, my actual account that has some students in it, so you can see what that looks like. So in the students tab, you'll see it'll have the login there, and then you can also reset their passwords for them. So if they create their accounts and they forget what they chose, you can check that for them or reset their password. You can also create their accounts if you think that's easier. There's a CSV or an Excel file that you can download, put in the information you want, and then upload it, and it will create student accounts. Then they'll just have to re-enter those usernames and passwords when they log in next time. And then once they're going through the lesson, you'll be able to see the reports. You choose the course that you want to see the reports for. You can also sort by class if you have more than one. And then you'll see I have 2 students in here. One of them named Kaley, who's very good at financial literacy, scored very high scores in the 3 lessons that she did. You can keep track of that. If you want to see their pre-quiz scores, you can always click the view button. It'll show you their pre-quiz. And if they made any attempts at any multiple attempts at the post-quiz, they can do that. Like I think Julie mentioned on her slide that students can retake their post-quizzes. So if you want them to improve their score, or if they do, they can go in and try again, and you can see their scores there. So that is the dashboard in a nutshell. Pretty easy to maneuver. If you have questions as you're going through, you can always come to support. And you'll see that my schools manager, or if you live in most of Indiana, my name's going to show up here for you. Like the teacher shared, please reach out to me if you have questions or if you need help. I can point you in the right direction or help you figure out what's going on. I'm happy to do one-on-one trainings with you over the phone if you need help. Or like I said, if you think that this is something that multiple teachers at your school could use or within your district, I'm happy to come present to you. I just got back this afternoon from a health teachers professional development that Indianapolis Public Schools did. So I came and trained all the health teachers at once. So please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Or if you live in Northern Indiana, you're going to see Katie's name here and you can email her. You can also find a support center here, which is like a chat where they'll answer questions for you. But I'm going to be honest, they don't know as much as I do. And part of that is just because they're not on the ground working with teachers every day like I am. So come to me first. If you don't find what you need, then you're welcome to go there. But the likelihood that I know the answer before they do is higher. And I can also answer more quickly than they can because they're working through a whole, a whole queue of inquiries. Here you can also find the scholarship opportunities that I mentioned, standards alignment, some tips for troubleshooting, and you can also register your students from there if you want to. And then the only other thing I'll mention here on the teacher dashboard is you'll see in this top right-hand corner a teacher invitation button, invite a teacher. You can put a teacher's information in there, choose their school, their email address, etc. And then you can choose the courses that you think that they would like. You'll see the course names are listed here and the grade level. And you can share up to 5 with them, and it's going to send them an email with a registration link in it. If they click on the registration link in the email that you sent them, so it gets credited to you, and they actually use a course with their students, you will get credit for referring them. And right now, at least, there's an incentive going on that you'll get $15 to Amazon for each teacher. So share with as many teachers as you want to. They don't have to be the same school, the same grade level, the same content area. So you can share with anybody that you want. They're free for everyone. But make sure that you follow up with them, because this email that it sends them sometimes looks like spam because people don't know what it is. So if you tell them, hey, I sent you this email, it's about this course that I think I'm going to start using or that I am using that I really like, I think you would like it too, click on the link in the email and I'll show you what it looks like. So that way it gets credited to you, because if they just sign up without clicking on your link, there's no way for us to know that came from you. So that is your teacher dashboard in a nutshell. I had some slides here, but I think it was easier to show it to you in person. Any questions about the dashboard or how to use the course with students? If you do, chat them in. Happy to answer those. So just to wrap up here, a couple of next steps I would recommend. First of all, of course, look through the courses and decide how and when you plan to implement the lessons. Even if you're not exactly sure what it looks like, but you know that you're going to cover, healthy relationships in May, and so you want to try out the character playbook then, make a note of it in your calendar so you know to come back to it. If you're anything like me, when I was a teacher, I would go to conferences or go to professional development sessions or whatever, and think, wow, this is really great. And then I would go back to school and there were kids in my face and I forgot everything. So make a note of it so that you remember to come back and check it out when you're ready for it. Review the lesson plans, the discussion questions, and the optional resources in the resource center so you can decide how you want to implement it all together. Some teachers like to do, like several of the teachers talked about today, more of an online offline give and take where you do a little bit of online lesson and then you do some of the offline stuff. Or if you decide you're going to do all the online stuff and then come back and do some of the offline stuff. So looking through that will help you decide. Or maybe you just want to have them do the online lessons and then pick a couple of the discussion questions to talk about it afterwards. There's lots of stuff there for you. And then if you don't have computers in your classroom, as you know, testing time is around the corner. Maybe it's already started for some of you. You want to get those reserved if you need to as soon as you can so that they're available for you when you want to use it. And then stay connected with us. We have a lot of social media presence. We have a K-12 Facebook page and an educator group, which shares a lot of ideas and lesson plans and tips for implementing the courses in your classroom. And then our Everfi K-12 Twitter handle does the same thing. And then you can also follow me, Kaley Esselborn, on Twitter, and I'll share Indiana-specific stuff. So if you want to tag me in your stuff, I would be happy to share that with my network so they can see how you're using Everfi in your classroom. And then again, feel free to reach out if there's anything that I can do personally to help you. I'm happy also if you live in Northern Indiana to connect you to Katie. She's great as well and very helpful. Or you can find our information there on your support page on your teacher dashboard as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to chat them in. Otherwise, thanks so much for spending your time with me. I'm not sure if Mary has anything else to say, but I'll kick it back to her in just a second. But I love working with teachers in Indiana. You are my favorite people, and I am really happy to help. If there's anything I can do, please let me know.
All right, thanks so much, Kaley. Tons of great information, and it's really great to have this free. So many things cost a lot of money, but we do have access to a lot of great free resources also, and I'm really thankful to Kaley for sharing this resource that really touches on so many different things in our curriculum. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for the teachers who took the time out of their days to prepare to share with you all today. So thank you all very much. I will just share our contact information here really quick as we just see if there's any last minute questions. And again, feel free to reach out to us at the DOE with any questions that you might have. We are happy to connect with you and to connect you to the resources and the people that you need to be connected with. Here you'll see some ways to get connected with the resources that we have to offer, the e-learning resources. So check those out if need be. And I will put my email address down here in the chat in case there's ever anything that you all need. But I'm not seeing any questions come in, so I'm going to sign off for the night. Thanks again to Kaley and to her teacher resources that were called in for this webinar. And thank you to all of you who attended today. Again, I will be doing PGPs this week, and we'll get those sent out to you, and we'll get the webinar posted on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.